We are in week number 1 of our Dangerous Men sermon series. And I want to talk a little bit about why in the world are we trying to focus in and dial in on men here. One of the reasons is when I started this church, I realized that there was a failure of men to do, I think, what God created us to do all of these years ago. And I know that many churches, they try letting you know everything about Jesus, and they teach the scriptures. They do all of these good things, but what they start falling towards, because they're not aiming at anything, what they start falling towards, all the churches look and feel really soft. Like they don't know that they're doing it, but they're aiming at women. They're targeting women, which, not a horrible thing. Like, married to a woman, 2 daughters, raised by a single mom. I'm with that. I'm not completely against that. But I've talked to so many women, it's I just want my husband to come with me. And they won't go to church. They won't go to church. And I'm like, I'm starting a different one. Where the guys are I'm trying to get my wife to come with me. And it's okay, that's the goal here. Let's see if we can make that happen. And that's why we set up the way that we did. That's why we have concrete floors. And we didn't paint everything really pretty. And why I teach and preach in t-shirts and jeans every week is to aim at this. Because we know that 95% of the time, or more than 95% of the time, when you get a man, you get his whole family. Less than 50% of the time, when you get a woman, do you get her whole family. So we want the whole family, and we know the best way to do this is by aiming at men. And here's the other reason, I want to make sure that we talk about this, is because I think, I don't know how many generations has come along, the women have really stepped up their game. Things have changed in women's rights and these different things. Women have stepped up their game, and some of them have stepped up their game because they're just solid women and they stepped up their game. Some of them had to step up their game because men, we have abdicated what God called us to do and be. So they had to fill in the gaps, and some women are just it don't matter to me. I'm filling in all kinds of gaps all day long. My job is just filling in gaps. It doesn't matter. Some women are it would be nice to have a strong partner, and we want to help our guys to help motivate you a little bit through this sermon series, maybe to help educate you a little bit through this sermon series, to let you know that you're not alone. Grab some other guys, and let's do this. We meet the first Sunday of every month, and we just have discussions about manly things. It's really weird. One Sunday we had a discussion about what is it like to lose parents? How do you react to that? And we had some guys who had lost parents, and they were able to speak to that. I wasn't able to speak to that, but all of us are just oh, that's good to know going into that. And I've got a couple guys that I go to that are a step or two ahead of me in raising kids. And I'm okay, tell me, how did this go? How did this go? What am I supposed to do with this? And it just helps out when you're not the first time through wrecking everything like we can really do, right? So I want to make sure over these next 3 weeks that you realize why we're doing this. It's not just because we're men only, he-men, women haters. It's we care so much about the women, I want to get the men right. And that's why we're going to talk about this and why we're going to hopefully work through this here a little bit. So one of the things that I've seen, and I've preached this before, and you have probably seen it all over the place. If you haven't, you should. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. And hard times create strong men. We sure are in the midst of some easy times these days. We won't talk about it a whole bunch, but, 100 years ago, if you wanted something warm, you chopped down a tree, and then you split the wood, and you started the fire, and you kept the fire going all night long. It was just part of society. No one even talked about it because that's just what you do. Today I want a little bit warmer. I might flip the gas fireplace on, or I might, bump up a little bit on the HVAC. It's just we have created an easier society, and I'm not saying that's bad. But I'm saying because of that, maybe we have lost some of our goal. We have lost our way a little bit. And I believe that we have hard times coming because we have so many weak men in positions that they need to be filled. And these guys are doing the best that they can. Maybe the generation before, like us or my father, didn't help raise up strong men, or you didn't know you weren't. You just had to figure it out as you went along. And I want to make sure that, we're doing all that we can to help create strong men. And if we can skip the weak men, Like, that would be great. Can we take some of the men who are already a little weak now and build into them and get the ones who haven't even realized whether they're weak or they're strong and raise them up to be these strong men so that we can partner together and we can really make an impact. And I think that's important because the goal for so often is like, I want an easy life. I want a perfect life. And we feel like that's almost what you're working for because that's the American dream, right? Like, I just want an easy life. I want to be able to come in. I want to be able to do things. I want to be able to work and enjoy my work and my family and all of this. And we want this perfect, easy life. But once we show up, it's not perfect because all of us have garbage, right? Like, all of us carry baggage along with us. No matter what family you grew up in, no matter how you grew up, there's some issue in you. If you don't know that there's an issue, that's your first issue. Like, let's just be honest. Like, everybody around you knows it. They're like, oh yeah, she don't know. But yeah, so you got to figure out, like, okay, we all have this. So anything, any church, any community, any group we're in, we show up and we want this perfect group. It is now not perfect because we're there. But what we've started to realize is we don't want something perfect. Men, we want purpose, right? I want a reason to work hard. I want a reason to conquer things. I want a reason to go slay the dragon, right? I want a reason to fight and to just put everything on the line. I need I need purpose, and that's, I think, what we've lost over the years. Our purpose has become easy and happy and fun, and it's like, I feel like I'm missing something when it's just easy, happy, and fun. So maybe we need to come back and get our purpose again. But hopefully you're trying to accomplish something. But if you are trying to accomplish something, it's probably hard, right? It probably scares you a little bit, but what if I mess this up? You're in the right place. You're headed the right direction. If you're never worried about how hard it is or what happens if I mess this up or anything, you're not testing boundaries. Men, we need to go looking for hard things to do. Now, some of us, hard things find us. It's like, you got to be kidding me. I just woke up again, and here it is again. And then some of us have had our lives set up, and it's really good. And it's like, I need to find hard things to do because hard things make me stronger. They make me work harder. They make me think harder. They make all of the above. We just don't want these easy things. After my nerve and back surgery almost 2 years ago now, I started going to the physical therapist. And I was going to the physical therapist, and when I went to the doctor then, I don't go to the doctor anymore, or a physical therapist, because men don't do that. I don't know why. We're dumb. Go to the doctor. You should go. It's good. Don't do what I do. Say what I do. But anyways, so we'd go there, and the first question they would always ask is, what's your pain level on a 1 to 10? What's your pain level? What's your pain level? And I was with a physical therapist who had been around for a while. And I was talking to her about this pain level. And she was like, when I first started doing that, we never asked that question. We never asked the question, what's your pain level? Because the goal now is to take all of your pain away. The goal for them at the beginning was to get you back to 100%. And sometimes you got to go through some pain to get back to 100%, but they cared about the 100%. She said somewhere over time it is, how much pain are you in? Let's take all pain and anything hard out of your lives. And now we have a generation of addicts who, either because of the doctors just throwing pain pills at them, or they thought that the goal is an easy life, a pain-free life. If you're over 40, welcome to the pain. You're 39, you have a birthday, you roll over, you're like, it's waiting on you. It's knocking on the door. It's going to happen the rest of your life, no matter what you do. And we've got to make sure that I want to help us dial in and say, let's not make the purpose easy and happy. Let's make the purpose making things better, making the people around me better and stronger. And if we can do those type of things, it should help out. And hopefully over the next 3 weeks, we'll be able to do some of this. People talk about toxic masculinity so often and how toxic masculinity has ruined a bunch of things. Agreed. There's absolutely some toxic masculinity that has ruined some things. I want to get us to a place where we talk more about biblical masculinity, because we're always aiming at what is wrong. We don't know what is right. So can we start talking about what is right? And what does the Bible have to say about what a man is? And help us maybe define ourselves by those as we go along. And we're going to be looking at some of this over the next 3 weeks. And today we're going to be looking in 1 Corinthians. And normally I like to I just want to preach through a book. I like the background, the history, the culture. Today we're going to be in two different places, in 1 Corinthians, and we're going to look, and the reason I like this scripture is because it has, keep it simple, stupid, right? It gives me 3 action steps. Do this, then do this, then do this. It makes it real easy. Like sometimes I'm like, I overthink it. Now just do that. Keep your head down. But I want you to remind, like as we go into this, we've got to remember the people who are writing this, their lives are not easy. This is 2,000 years ago. They didn't flip a switch for anything. And they were living in hard times and hard country. And then if you're a Christian, Rome, who ruled the world, decided, we want to kill all of you. Let's make that extra fun, right? Like, let's make your life a little extra hard as we go along. So remember, like, they don't talk about this much in Scripture because it is what it is, right? Like, if we wrote things today, we wouldn't talk about how hard or whatever our lives are. We would just figure everybody would know this. We wouldn't think anybody would be reading our letters 2,000 years later, but we're reading letters 2,000 years later. So we got to realize the hardness, how hard things were in their life. And as we do that, it helps us understand why Paul is writing what he's writing to the church in Corinth here. So here's our 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 13. He starts it off really easy. Be on guard. Stand firm in your faith. Be courageous and be strong. Give me some action steps, right? Be on guard. I'm okay. We're ready. Like, let's see what we got to do. I'm ready for whatever it is. And what I got to realize is, if I'm going to be on guard, I have to have something of value that I am guarding. Do you have anything of value that you are guarding these days, men? Do you have women? Do you have children? Do you have jobs? Do you have your future? Because you're not married yet. You're not whatever it is. You have to have something of value. If you don't have anything of worth, there's step 1. Find that value. Find that worth. And then he goes on and he talks about how you have to be on guard. Now, if I'm on guard at my house, you're going to have issues. You hear these guys talk about this, right? Like, you need to be able to be a dangerous man if you're going to guard something. I heard this, a weak man can't be a good man. And I don't mean like physically weak. I mean just you give in to everything weak. You don't stand for anything weak. You need to be able to know what you stand for, why you stand for it. You have to have something of value that when your back comes against the wall, it's time to get dirty. We're going to figure this thing out right now, and we're going to take care of business right now. And if you aren't putting in this effort as a man to partner with your wife, to watch over and care for your kids, if you're not doing these things, like, where's your value? Where's your purpose? Now, if you aren't married yet, I get this. That's fine. If you're married and the buck doesn't stop with you, like, we need to figure this out. My wife is very capable. It's ridiculous how capable she is. I don't want her to have to carry the weight of the buck stops here for anything. Now, no matter what we get into, we're probably going to have a discussion. Like, she runs some things in our house, like I'm sure you guys do, and I take care of those 2 things in the house that I'm in charge of doing after she's told me how to do them, and then I do them. It's fine. I do those things. It's good. But, like, it is that partnership, but I don't believe that, like, she should just have to take care of everything. I don't believe she should have to make every decision. Like, I want to partner with her and I want to make it a little bit better, but to do that, I've got to know what my standards are. I've got to know what I believe and why I believe, and I've got to be dangerous enough to where when I say something, it counts. If you don't know what you believe and why you believe, what you're going to stand for, you're a weak man, and that's never the goal. God didn't create us to be like that. And like, I want to reinforce this, like, this is not about physical strength. Because when I think about some of the most influential people in the world, they were the most dangerous men in the world. They were some of the worst men in the world. But they changed the world. I mean, you want to talk about who were very strong men, but they were horrible men? Alexander the Great. We are thinking, counting, living, measuring everything that we do because of Alexander the Great. Was he the best warrior for the Greeks? I don't have any idea. Did he change an entire world of thinking? Yeah. And he had a plan. He said, you give me these 5 things, I will change the world. And we're living in it today because he did. He killed maybe more men than anybody besides Julius Caesar. Why do we have the calendar that we do? Why do we measure things that we do? Why do we set up our cities the way that we set them up? Rome, the Caesars, they figured things out. Now, was he the best warrior? No, but the man knew what he believed and was willing to go at it. We'll just keep picking it up and putting it down. It's fine. It's fine. Nice to have you with us today. He'll never be back again. Okay, anyways. We're having fun today. But I think of these men and I don't want anybody to think it's just you've got to be the greatest warrior. You think of Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar. Talk about somebody who changed the world. Hitler. This dude is atrocious. But your family lived next to another family for 15 generations, and in one generation he made you hate them so much you wanted them to die. It's like, he was a very strong man, a horrible man, but very strong. Imagine if you got that focused in the right direction, what happens there. Abraham Lincoln, very strong. These guys aren't warriors. We don't see all the wars that they won because they were generals. No, they were back and they said, here's the plan. I need to know, I need to be able to think, I need to be able to reason, and then I need to be able to communicate those things in such a way to where I am strong. I am dangerous because of what I have thought and how I have communicated it, and that changes the world. Not just getting in a fight and winning or losing, and we've got to get this right. So we've got to do a few things. You've got to be on guard. So you've got to be dangerous so that when somebody comes up and sees you standing guard, they're like, I don't want any of that. You have to be able to stand firm. Stand firm in your faith. We see stand firm all over the scripture. Here he says, in your faith. So I want to know, how many of you, the devil comes knocking on your door looking for you, your wife, your kids, could say, here's what I do. I call the pastor. No. It's now. It's go time. How many of you know what you believe about Jesus? Know why you believe what you believe about Jesus, what you believe about the scriptures. Is the Bible real? Is it not real? Do you understand why it is? Do you understand the archaeological significance behind it? Do you understand all of the different layers and genres of writing and stuff like that and how everything is focused? Do you understand any of this? Or do you just trust that the people at the church will be there for you in tough times? Do you know how to introduce anybody to Jesus, to get them saved? If you don't, why not? Because you're the person on the front lines. You need to stand firm in your faith, not in my faith, not in your parents' faith. In your faith, you need to be able to stand firm, and you need to be able to know what you think about certain things. And we offer, Sunday morning we get together and we'll look at Scripture and we'll pull it apart. We've got our summer sprints coming up. We have connection groups that we do this in. And here's the thing. You guys are allowed to get together and not ask us permission. You're like, hey, we're going to read the Bible at my house. Well, we didn't ask Scott. Well, I guess we can't do that then. You're allowed to. You're really allowed to get together and have discussions and read the Bible and have fun by yourselves. You don't have to run it through the church here. And you should be doing that. But you need to be able to stand firm in your faith. You need to be on guard. You need to stand firm. And you need to be courageous. We need to understand what this looks like. See, when Holly and I first got married, when we first started dating, actually, we came into the relationship and we were what Scripture would call unequally yoked. She knew her Bible. I knew there was a Bible. I'm in college to be a preacher, and I can't name, but Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Revelation, Psalms is in the middle. My boy Eric taught me the IANS's. You got Galatians, Ephesians, just all. I had no idea. So she knew her scripture. And then, let's go ahead and do it. We're at Bible college. We're going to go take some Bible college classes together. And she scored better than I did. Obviously, she had better grades than I did, so it's that didn't help me so much either. We get out, and I go into ministry, and for the next 20 years, I dove in head first. I am constantly reading, studying, challenging, talking to other people, listening to podcasts, going to Israel, going to Turkey, doing everything I can. And now in my house, I know the Bible better than she does. Yes, you son. I ain't afraid. I'm the one with the microphone today, honey. Yeah. Don't anyone talk to her after service. But I have put in work so that I can take that weight off of her, because I need to be able to stand firm. I need to be on guard. I need to be able to take care of my family. I shouldn't put that burden on my wife. Can she? Probably. Does she need to? No. Men, it's time to be men. It's time to partner with your spouses. It's time to step our game up a little bit. And the only way we do that is by doing hard things. We need to go looking for these things. We need to figure this out. Last week we were talking about, somebody said something in our Dangerous Men discussion about gaining wisdom. How do I gain wisdom? And one of the guys was just like, fail a lot. And that's the truth. Like, we all know it, right? Like, I get out here, I messed it up. Let me put that in the bag. I'm not going to do it that way again. So there's two ways that I see that you can gain wisdom. You can fail a lot, which a lot of us have done, or Scripture gives us another option. And in James chapter 1, starting in verse 2, it says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance." Do hard things is what James is saying. Whenever we face trials of many kinds. Now, they've got Rome chasing them down, trying to kill them. We don't have that. But we need to find hard things, because there are trials in our lives. All of us have trials in our lives. And we might be in a good time right now, but there are going to be some hard things. And he says, don't give up, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. You want to know how to be mature in your faith? Don't give up. Do hard things. Memorize Scripture. Challenge people on what they believe. Have a good discussion. And then he goes on here and he says, let perseverance finish its work. Don't quit. So that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. This is coming from the brother of Jesus. I've got to imagine your older brother being Jesus, not so easy, right? Like, how many second or third borns do we have in here? Can I see? There it is. Were you ever living into your brother or sister's shadow? It's like, well, they do it better than this. And imagine being the little brother of Jesus. You walk into a party, you're hanging out at a party, everybody's having a good time, they run out of wine, everybody's like, James is like, that's my brother, man. I can't do stuff like that. That's him. That's not me. Well, you're not like Jesus. I mean, the book of James is maybe the best argument that Jesus was the Son of God, because what would your brother or sister have to make you do to believe that they're the Messiah? A whole bunch. Like, I remember you when you were young. You ain't fooling me. I remember those days. But he says, let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature, complete, not lacking anything. And if anybody lacks wisdom, you should ask God. I can fail, or I can ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like the wave of a sea blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded, unstable in all they do. God, just give me wisdom, but I'm going to go ahead and make this decision. God, can you help me out here? But I think I already know what I'm going to do. Are you leaving room for God to work at all, to have any answers for you at all? Or are you just... And I'm not saying don't do anything. I'm saying do hard things. Some of you need to go looking for hard things. This is what I realized with my girls. Like, as good fathers, like, I want to take the hardships away from my kids. And then I get... And I see them when they're older, and it's like, have they learned to overcome anything? Have they been in tough times and had to figure their way out because it's hard? I took a lot of those things away because I thought I was being the best dad I could. Now I'm like, I've got to manufacture hard things to throw in their lives, right? Like, we know how to overcome hard things because when we were young, we were knuckleheads. And we did dumb things, and we had to figure out how to get out of it. It's like, We need to do these things. I hope over the next few weeks that we create in here what I've seen written about is called a 200-year man. A 200-year man knows what he thinks and knows what he believes. He can stand up, he can be on guard, he can be courageous, and he affects 200 years. If you can pour into your children and your grandchildren, and they pour the stuff that you poured into them, to their kids and their grandkids, all of a sudden 200 years can be changed by one man saying, it starts here. It starts with me, and I know it's going to be tough because I'm going to find tough things. I'm going to do what is right, even when it's hard. And sometimes I've got to lean on my partner, and that makes it a little bit easier to get through. We're looking to create some 200-year men here, and I believe you're sitting in this room. I believe things will change because of the men sitting in this room. And women, you are killing it. I'm not trying to put you down at all. I'm trying to pull the men up to where we should have been in the first place rather than taking things so easy for so long. Because I know we've got it in us. And I know that our communities will change, our families will change, the world will change if we get our stuff together and we stay on guard and we are courageous and we stand firm in our faith. Let's make those commitments. Let's move forward with that, and let's see what God honors in that.